Hello, YouTube. This is BUB'S Comics coming at you with the No Faces Comic Chat. I think we should start a new segment this week, something, or at least a new tradition. First off, I'm going to start off by, instead of introducing my co-host as usual, we'll introduce the guest first. And with us, we have Stir Fry of Centauri Stir Fry. Say hello.
Hello.
Fantastic. And then do you remember what our name was, Stir Fry?
What our name was? What do you mean? Oh, this chat?
Yes.
The No Faces chat, right?
Yes. And every week we have a team name. So this week we are the Venomous Vintage Value Vaulters.
I saw that, yes.
Awesome. Yeah, Bub said he was going to start going easy on the alliteration, but I don't think that's working.
Well, I only had like four things I could think of start with the V. So once I started with the V's, I figured I'd spill them all out and get rid of them this week.
Nice.
I like also, so that was DS chiming in. Say hey, DS.
Oh, what's up, everyone?
And let's say hi to our very own personal Encyclopedia Britannica, Metarog. Say hi, Roger.
Greetings, everyone.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Say greetings, Roger.
Greetings, Roger.
All right, guys. Well, we're all here. I wanted to just say thank you for everyone for putting up with us again this week. And we have a couple of things to go over, but not too much. We'll try and keep it a little shorter than we usually do. Up first, I'll show what I've got laid out on my little display. I've got the Tick. Anybody remember his catchphrase?
Spoon?
Spoon! Yep, that's right. And then this set is a mini comic set from Drake's Pastries, Drake Cakes, whatever you want to call them. And they came inside. And I had this entire collection when I was a kid and didn't have them. I remember having multiples of this even when I was a kid. And then, of course, who knows what happened to them. I'm sure they got destroyed, probably colored on a lot of them. There's no telling. And so one day this YouTuber threw a bunch of these up at the end of his video. And he was like, hey, if anybody wants these, let me know. And so I hit him up and I was like, yeah, I'll take them. And I think that's how it went. And that YouTuber was, of course, DS Comics. So that's kind of how we got to know each other a little bit there. Did I recall that correctly, DS?
Yeah, I think that's about right. I had him at the end of a video. I don't even know what I was showing, just random stuff early on, one of my early videos. And I said I threw them on eBay and nobody really bid or anything. So if anybody wanted them, hit me up. And you hit me up, but you were the only one that hit me up, but you seemed excited about it. So I figured, yeah, you enjoy them more than me. So there we go. It's been all downhill since then.
Thanks a lot. Oh man.
Yeah, when I had
Stir
them,
Fry, we've got you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to tell everybody who's looking at those. I had them in the original cellophane wrappers that were in the packages with the cakes, and I just left them in those cellophane wrappers, which turned brown and crusty and crinkly over time. But the books were in good shape. But they look way better now because you took them out of there. You made little mini bagging boards, custom made for those. So yeah, they look awesome now. They're like bright white pages. They're sharp copies. I took them out and kept them between two books spread out, so they stayed nice and flat. Just the cellophanes looked horrible, but they look great now.
I love them. I was super happy to have them. I think there's a volume 2 set of them, which I don't have. I'll hunt that down someday. That is, it's so funny. Like I should have made a list when I was first starting to collect because there were so many books that I wanted to get. But I was like, man, I'm not spending that kind of money. You give me $15 for a comic, I'll never own it. Now I'm like, $50. How many you got? I'll take them all.
There you go, Bub.
Things change.
There you go.
Yeah, HME3 wants to see the inside of them.
The inside of the little cases. Well, I'll take this one out because it's my favorite cover. Let's
Yeah, I've
see.
never read them.
Notice
Obviously, I had them in the cellophanes the whole time. I never opened them, but you opened the cellophane, so I don't know if you read those or what they look like on the inside or
Oh
what.
yeah, I read them. I read them very carefully, but I read them because they're not glossy page. They're kind of newspapery. So
I think they're flip books too, aren't they?
yes, they are.
We
So,
call that
first of all,
newsprint, bub.
yeah, that's what I said. What did I say? Newspapery.
Newspapery.
That's my wife. So my wife says a lot of phrases like that, like wrinkle. Like instead of saying wrinkled, she'll say like wrinkledy. Like that's wrinkledy. So I've picked that up from her, so I can blame her on that one. But I enjoy it. It used to make me
Throw
smile.
the wife under the bus. That's pretty low, bub.
Oh no, I'm riding the bus with her. This one wasn't a flip book, but some of them are. And the interior is absolutely fantastic. Very bright and large. So like every page almost is a splash page. And that way it's not like a tiny comic book. Instead, it's like a normal panels on small paper. So that works out pretty good. And the art's fantastic. It's very well done.
That's cool.
So just a super cool set. And it says Wolverine, Danger on the Docks, Volume 1, Number 2. It's in 1993. So there you go.
Am I back?
Pretty cool stuff.
Am I back on?
Cool.
Yeah, were you ever off?
Yeah, my backup. phone.
So
So
did it quit?
yeah, I got my other phone.
Well, I was going to go to you next, but I'll skip you. So let's take a look at DS Comics setup. What have you got up there?
All right. Well, in honor of our guest tonight, Centuri Stir Fry, I brought out. He's a big collector of statues. He can talk about that, but he's got this awesome sideshow collectible statues. So I figured I'd bring out something that was comparable to that in honor of him being here. And so I have these. These are Mighty Jack's X-Ray 4D Joker and Batman, and they actually open up. And you can. I'm not going to do it right here unless people are dying to see it, but. Inside, you pop the front out, and it's got a skeleton, and you can open the skeleton, and it's got the organs, and inside the skull is the brain. So they're like dissectable. Yeah, so they're pretty cool. Joker and the Batman. Those are the only two I have, but I just thought they were pretty cool. I bought them a while back, probably earlier this year or whatever. But yeah, they're pretty cool. So
Yeah,
that's what I've got.
I remember them like some guy was doing like Disney, like Mickey Mouse, Goofy. And they're all dissected. Like half of them was like skeletal and nervous system.
Yeah, they have a whole set of smaller ones. They're like 3 or 4 inches, and they're just cutaways, but they don't actually open up. And those they look like these, but they're miniaturized and they don't open. And they have Looney Tunes of those, and like there's a Tasmanian Devil and Tweety Bird, and then they have just DC characters. They have one other large dissectable one, and it's a Golden Age Flash. So I would actually like to get that at some point, just because I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Not cool? Okay. Well, anything, whenever I can find something Golden Age, I'll pick it up. So, but this Batman and the Joker, they have several different Batmans that have different era. They have a Golden Age Batman. They have a different uniforms and costumes for the Batman, and they have several of those. Some I'm not even familiar with. They've got like a yellow Batman. I'm not sure what that one is. It's a newer one, but this is a cool one they have for the large one. It's the gray and black.
Yeah, kind of a fun idea. So you can disembowel Batman. How fun! That's cool.
You can, and his heart comes out, and he's got lungs and a liver, and yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, I like it. What have you got showing Stir Fry in yours?
Can you even see that? I was in a rush. Can you even see what I'm just pointing out my statue.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's got a camera and they're walking around at a major Comic Con is what it looks like on your screen. No joke, seriously, that's like
I
high
see Power
end.
Girl with her first
Really?
appearance behind there. I see.
Yeah.
Huntress.
Yeah, you're right. You got it, Raj. Yeah, I just pointed it right at the statues there, and it was like I got that first Power Girl, and I think there's a Damned book back there. Maybe you can see that Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Yeah, and you've
I wish
got the
I had more time.
Joker. You've got the Joker there too. And I was surprised.
Sorry, what?
I don't know anything about it, but
Something happened.
It
to
seems
your
they're
volume
more
went
involved than I
funky.
thought, because it's not like you just pull them out of the box and set them up. Apparently, you got to do a bunch of artistic work yourself with the clothing and its wire, and so the way they look is unique to each person who owns them, I would think.
Yeah, some of it, yeah, definitely. Like that Joker and the Huntress there, you got to kind of like mess with them a little bit. There was a Doctor Doom I had where it took hours to get it right.
Yeah,
So,
I remember that video, and then you were like talking
I
about how
remember
it took you like months to get it right, and then you're like, yeah, and do this, and you're like, oh no, I won't be able to sleep for a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them are sculpted, but yeah, some of those older ones that have the clothing, it's a real joy. It's a real pain and joy. Yeah. But yeah, so I should have had a different setup, but I just got home from work. My wife set the computer up for me and got it all ready, and I just walked in the door basically. But so I didn't really have a chance to fill it out, but so I just turned it around. There you go.
It looks good. I remember. I know. I love when you show when you're spinning the bases in your videos. Sounds.
Oh.
Hello.
Yeah, you use that that glove, right? The
Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet glove, which is actually an oven mitt, right?
Yeah, it's an oven mitt, but it's funny because it's defective. It came in like some kind of weird box that my wife got, like some one of those Loot Crate boxes.
Yeah.
And she was getting those for a little while, but it was recalled. It was recalled because it can't take the heat of like, I don't know, chocolate chip cookies. Like,
Yeah.
it self-destructs at 350, so they recalled those oven mitts.
It's ironic. The most powerful glove in the universe can't take the heat.
No, can't take the heat.
Well, we were looking for one. I saw it and I showed my wife and I said, we got to get one of those. And then we tried to get one and we saw that they were recalled. You can still buy them on eBay, but they're like way more money than you should have to spend for a glove that you can't. She was like, but you can't even hold. I said, I don't care. I'll put another mitt on top of it when I go into the oven. It's okay.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth the injury.
Probably not.
Yeah. All right, so HMA3 wanted to see the inside, what it looks like. So there you go.
He was dying to see it.
Are you going to show it, Bub, or you want me to?
No, I already showed the inside of the comics. He was wanting to see the inside of the Batman figures that DS has got up.
Oh, okay.
The interior.
Oh, I see the skeleton, the intestines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think Batman had that big a head and that small a body, but oh well.
Yeah, actually,
you haven't read Damned yet, then, have you? Because they show it in there, yeah. Batman Damned. Yeah.
I thought it was defective when I was first putting this together because the hands and the feet are separate, so you have the arm bones and the leg bones, and I kept trying to fit the legs into where the arms are because obviously they're shorter, so they look like arms, and it wouldn't fit. And then I realized he just got little stumpy legs and long arms, so.
Awesome. And Roger, show us what you've got set up over there.
Well, I just wanted to show you the other series of the minis that were the Drake's cakes that we're talking about.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm missing.
Oh, they are. Well, and of course, I pulled these out of the actual Drake cake boxes. They are in the cellophane, by the way.
Ah.
And you'll be interested in this one, of course, on the left.
Is that the Charleston Chew ones?
No, that's the Wolverine up there. That's a Drake cake Wolverine up there.
So what year was this again? That these came
I need that. Like 93, 94?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Around there. Yeah. Let me see if I can tell the exact year from here. No, but based on the Hulk here, I'd say, somewhere in the early 90s. Right.
I need those.
You do? Well, tough luck.
Yeah, tough. Yeah.
And of course, I have these, which came in the Hardee's kids meal boxes. Those also came. Wow. These are from '95, I do believe. And of course, I'm just teasing Bub there with that Wolverine on the left.
Well, Metarog, do you have the ones that Bub has? That '93 Drake set?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, you have all of them. Okay, well then Bub, you got no bargaining power here at all, so you're just out of luck, I think.
I have almost all mini comics from the 70s through the 90s.
All right, hold on. I gotta ask you a question then. Just give me 1 second.
All right.
Yeah, Metarog, it doesn't surprise me that you have those because I know you love the promos and stuff like that. So it doesn't surprise me you have them. But yeah, they're cool little things. I like the Pizza Hut comics that they had back in the, I guess those are probably like early 90s too, right?
Yeah, I've got the whole run of those. I'm sure Roger does too.
You know, one of the best ones is those Sendaways. Bub, I'm sure you don't have it just because I think it's pretty rare. Was that Wolverine Nabisco Sendaway one?
Yeah,
it's on my want list. It consistently sells between $200 and $900.
Yeah.
So what happens with that one is that people tend to get it signed because there's a lot of blank space all around him, tons of black space. So most of the ones you see are all signature series signed by like 3 or 4 or sometimes 5 or more contributors. So it kind of gets ridiculous. It is on my want list. I've actually talked to a couple of sellers on it before and haven't been able to make a deal on it. It's hard to find one under $300 or $400, and it's hard for me because that's actually a Wolverine that I already have like 3 copies of, other than that Sendaway, which is Wolverine 125. So I already have other versions of that book. So it's hard for me to even, like, when I'm going after a werewolf by night 32, there's only one version of that book. So without that book, I don't have my complete collection, right? So I can spend a little more for it and be like, well, you know, there's only one giant size X-Men #1, so I'm good with buying that. But when it's a, you know, C or D cover to a book that I already have A, B, it's hard to come off the cash on it for me.
Yeah, that's a book I'd like too, but I'm not spending that kind of money on that book. But it's an awesome cover. I really like it. It is rare.
Is that the one with like the
it is pretty cool
cover?
Yeah, it's got the skeleton. It's like an orange skeleton.
Yeah,
almost like an X-ray irradiated Wolverine, and it's almost a mostly black cover, I think, with like an orange skeleton Wolverine on it. But it's cool. It's cool anyway, just because of what it is. But well, anything with a Wolverine skeleton is cool because it's got the claws too. So I think it's a badass book.
Yeah, it is. I know
it is.
Yeah,
it is. I have a save search for it on eBay, and every time it comes up with the or best offer, I make a ridiculously low offer and try and get it, because you never know. You never know who needs money today. Yeah. You know, somebody's like, hey, you know, it's $300. And I tell you something else I do. I was just talking to someone about that today. I've been known to make best offers on things that are not listed for best offers. I'll just contact the seller, like with a question on the item. You know, you go to the eBay, you go to contact seller. I have a question about this item. My question is, would you take half the money for it? You know, so usually they respond. Only a couple of times has the seller like completely not responded to me. But usually they'll respond and either say no or they'll counter offer. And I've bought a few books that were counter offered. And, you know, heck, man, if I can get $20 off on a $100 book, I'll do it. You know, why not? So all it took was a 3-second email. So that's what I do on a lot of stuff. So there's a little eBay buying tip for you.
Yeah, I have tried that. Sometimes it works, usually not. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of those eBay sellers. I sell a lot of stuff on eBay. Almost everything I sell is on eBay. And I'm one of those sellers. I list things for best offer, and if people give me something reasonable, I usually take it. So I'm one of those sellers that will give a pretty good discount, because I'd rather get the money now, because sometimes you see these items and just sellers will not move on them, and the item sits there for a year or something. I'm not trying to hold out for a year. If I can get, you know, 150 on a 185 book or something, you know, or like a 170 on a 200 or, you know, whatever, I'll take that because I can get the money now. And usually when you list stuff like that, you'll get a couple offers right away because it's a new listing and a lot of people see it. But once it gets stale, you know, I don't like my items to get stale. So I either do like 5 or 7 day auctions, or I'll just take the first reasonable offer I get. I'd rather get the cash and move it. So
yeah, I agree. Like a lot of times, I've sold a lot of statues and comics and omnibuses and whatever. I'm still working on that. But if I get a pretty good offer, I'll go ahead and take it just because I have a better feeling about the transaction. You know what I mean? It's like I feel better about the transaction with that person that's willing to, like, you know, maybe go out of that other way and make an offer that's not insulting. I'll just go ahead and take it just because I'd rather do that than, you know, have problems with eBay.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, I'm a top rated seller. I have 100% positive feedback on eBay. That's important to me because when I buy on eBay, I don't like to buy off sellers who have more than one negative feedback. That starts to be an issue. So, you know, if somebody makes a reasonable offer, I accept it. They're really happy at the outset. When you haggle with people over the ending, that squeezing every extra little dime out of it, then they're expecting so much more from you. And, you know, I'm very accurate. I usually just sell slabs on eBay for that reason, but I've sold raws before, and, you know, you cannot sell raw books on eBay forever without getting complaints and refunding people, because they're always going to bitch about the grade, and they're always going to say it's not what you said, this wasn't disclosed. No matter how many pictures you take, no matter how awesome your grading is, doesn't matter. So if they feel good at the outset, work something out quick, I feel like that's better for everyone. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, and eBay will always side with the seller too, so it's hard. You know, you almost always have to refund them.
They side with the buyer, actually.
Oh, right, the buyer. I mean, I'm sorry.
Only
It's
one
rough. It's
time
rough out
that they
there
were
for
selling
seller.
me. So
Yeah.
And I also have this out here, and of course, Stir Fry knows about this because he is the artist.
Oh yeah, the picture. I'm glad you like that. That's awesome.
Oh man, I love it. I love it, man. I was like so thrilled when I saw that, man. You know how big a Ghost Rider fan I am.
Yeah, I do. I tried to get your name sort of like that, you know, but it didn't work out. But it's close.
Oh, it worked out fabulous, buddy. Yeah. You have no idea. I like have this on my wall over here. And I just look at it like every day almost.
Yeah, that made my day when you're in your video talking about how much you liked it. That's great, because you know when I was younger, I mean that was my dream. I really wanted to be a comic book artist, and then you know I got into bands and got into making a living and working every day, and just kind of stopped doing it. So every once in a while, I can still accidentally draw something.
Well, you did a great job. You did a great. Look at that. I mean, that's just fabulous. And you were like a few days late. What do you put there? Stir Fry must do penance for this delay. I mean, that's so you. I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, and guess what? I won the contest for Andy's Vinyl Den.
Oh.
And one of his prizes was, guess what? A sketch of my choice.
Hey, what'd you get?
Who do you think I chose?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi or Ghost Rider.
Shang-Chi. That's right. 100%. So that's going to be here tomorrow. So I can't wait. I'm going to do a video right away. You know, as soon as I get back from work, I'm going to do that video. So,
I'm looking forward to that. Because I actually was going to try to draw him. And I was like, you know what? Skulls are easier. I'll just do it.
Well,
how am I going to draw this guy without being insulting to, you know, by accident? You know, I could just make a slip up and people could take it the wrong way. No, I'm not.
No.
Let's just do the skull.
No, and now I have like all my favorite characters. I got the Deathlock from when I won Carl on Bases contest. I got the Ghost Rider from your contest. I got the Fantastic Four from Matilda.
I saw that. Yeah, that's cool.
You saw, those are awesome.
Yeah.
Look, I'll show those too. And now I I don't know for sure. He said he'd see what he could do, right? So I'm supposing it's Shang-Chi, but I guess it's possible it's not. But Matilda drew. One my favorite female character is Invisible Girl. So, and then I got this Joker from Joker 68. So, I mean, these are my favorite things, honestly, from my YouTube friends. Those are just my absolute favorite things. So anyway, thank you again, Jake.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no
Appreciate it.
Hey, well, I got you there, and there's a moment of silence. Can you see this? Let's see. What is it? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We got you.
Okay. Can you guys? Can you see this at all?
Yep, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. What is this?
That came in a that came in a set with other. There was a Spider-Man. They're supposed to be given out like at Halloween instead of candy.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the back, I can't help but notice it was like the price of subscriptions back then. Man, it was a steal. I love looking at that because it's like a big slap in the face to anybody who buys current comics. Like me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, those are cool. I have some somewhere, but I those might be at my mother's house.
Yeah. Man, that was like one of these old magazines I was picking up at a flea market, and it just fell out, and I was like, I bet Metarog knows what that is. I did not know.
Well, that's the X-Men compendium that you had there just a second ago.
Yeah, but it fell out of it, and I was like, I bet he knows what that is. So.
Okay, gotcha.
So
yeah, those are cool. I think they were called Trick or Treat. I don't remember what they're called, but something like Trick or Treat something. It'll come to me.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
That's awesome.
They fight Blaster.
let's get started on our topics this week. Let's see. We got okay. So this first topic is called "Time for the Hobby." I want to know how you all carve out time for the hobby. Now, of course, when I use that term because I didn't want to say comic collecting because I know we all kind of collect some different things here and there for different reasons, and also to include YouTube in that because that's kind of become part of the hobby for me. And it seems like I carve out time for YouTube stuff, either watching videos or making videos almost as much as I do. Batman didn't like that. Oh,
well, now you get to see there's his heart. We got the heart. You can
so
see
he does have a heart.
The liver, the rib cage comes off. So yeah, so there you go, and it comes off. There's his brain. So I'll put it back together later, but there's Batman's brain. So
that's pretty cool. It's like one of those. I think that actually happened in a comic book. It was a Grant Morrison comic book where he was captured, and he actually had to like decompose, just totally take himself apart to escape. It was a backup plan that Batman's been working on since he was 11. He's that good.
Oh wow, he
Grant
needs
Morrison
to be.
is a genius.
Yeah. So. Anyway, that's the quick question. How do you carve out time for the hobby? Stir Fry, I know that you've got a new Litlin. Congratulations!
Thank you. She's awesome.
A little mini you.
Yep.
So it gets tough. So we can start with you. How do you kind of carve out time to collect what you collect, and also the YouTube and all of it? I know it's got to be extra hard now.
It is. It is hard, and I get in trouble for it. So I'm trying to stop doing it as much. To be honest with you, I mean, I work like at least 6 days a week and long hours. So sometimes if I get off work early on the weekend, I'll run to a flea market or whatever. That's where the shopping takes place, or if online. That really doesn't take up a lot of time. It's really just the YouTube that takes up more time than anything. I mean, and my wife, when we first started this, she would do all the editing and she would do all the, she does most of the work. I just, get up there and start rambling like a moron. But she does all the work. So kind of did it as a team. And then later on, I just started trying to do more a week. And I think it kind of became a little bit much, especially at these early stages when we're trying to take care of a baby. So, and she's actually gotten on to me about it. So we've had a few arguments about it. So I feel like I probably won't be doing as much. So that's how I'm going to manage my time. It's going to start right now, and it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be less. That's all I can say. Because the people who upload daily, man.
Bub.
Yeah, Bub. I mean, I admire that. That's great. I just can't do it, especially with this. I work 10 hours a day at least, come home. And I hear that the baby is just a total angel during the day. She just sleeps, she wakes up, she's like, she just smiles all day. And then when I come home, it's usually like, she's never eaten before and you must feed her right now. So she screams a lot and she has my frown. So it's, I take it seriously. And it's, it's just chaos from 5 to 6 to whenever I go to bed. So I feel like I haven't managed my time well and it needs to change. So that's where I'm at now.
That's fair. I know that I do upload every day, but I've taken kind of a break now because I don't have that many comics to show off. So I kind of just upload daily because I have that much to show off in pickups, and I kind of pick up in the same amount. Like I'll pick up 5 to 10 books every time I pick up books. So it kind of lends itself to a 5 to 10 minute video, and I usually film them all in a row, like on a Sunday night or something, and then I just edit them. It takes me like 5 minutes to edit them because I don't get real fancy with it, and then just kind of throw them out there once in the morning, when I have time, somewhere between when I wake up and noon, try and get it out there. But it does take a lot of time away, and the other thing is I don't worry as much how much my YouTube time takes away from my family time. Even though, I guess I should, but I don't. I more worry about what my YouTube time takes away from my comic time. So I'll be sitting down and I'm thinking, man, I really need to, first I get my books, right? Rebag, reboard them. then I catalog them, and then I do a video on them, and then I file them, right? So that's kind of my, so sometimes I'll have a stack of books that I haven't done a video on, but I have one or two that I want to read. And I'm like, oh man, I'd rather be reading the comics than doing a video showing the comics. So what do I do now, right? So I worry that that's taking away from my comic time as my YouTube does.
Absolutely. Just you know, she brought in the computer and set it all up in here. I was like, how did you do that? By getting around all the stacks of, you know, comics I have all over the floor, unorganized. Just, you know, she's like, carefully. I was like, well, man, that's impressive. Yeah, I can't even get to reading half of them. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's sad, really. Sad thing.
Isn't it? It is sad. Hold on. Did you hear that? That was a tear. It just fell.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, wait for the second one. You hear a splash when it hits the same spot. Yeah. Well, what about you, DS? It seems like most of the stuff you buy is so high end, if you will, or a high dollar that it's got to be mostly purchased online. So that's got to free up a little bit of time. But how do you manage your time with the hobby and with YouTube?
Well, the YouTube is definitely a crucial part of the hobby, because prior to YouTube, I was collecting sort of in a very lonely way. Occasionally I'd come across somebody or encounter somebody that was into comics, but I didn't have any, quote, comic friends. And so YouTube sort of opened that up, and you know, it's become very important to me to be part of the YouTube community. And you know, I'm not the type of YouTuber that posts comic haul videos all the time. You know, I really at this point don't even pick up that many books that often. So I just try to do some other type of content. But I try to do something every week. And for the time I devote to that, it's pretty easy, because my schedule and the wife's schedule are different. So she gets up to go to work at 7:30 on Monday, and I'm off all day. So I have Monday to myself, which is nice. So I usually, if I do videos on YouTube, I'll do it on a Monday. As far as spending time picking up books, yeah, you're right, Bob. Most of that is done online and in auctions and stuff like that. I don't usually go to the LCS store ever. Occasionally, again, on a Monday, I'll run around to hit some thrift stores or antique stores in the area. Occasionally, I'll take a short road trip on a Monday to check something out, maybe like 40 minutes away or something. But most of the books I pick up are auctions or eBay. And that's just, you know, hit and miss whenever that stuff comes up. But, you know, I went to Baltimore Comic Con, and we made it a little trip, so I was able to include her in it. So we went together and did other stuff besides the con, so that worked out. And then, you know, I just went the other night to watch Venom. It's not really hobby related, but I mean, it's a comic book movie sort of. So, you know, I include her. We do, whenever there's something that's like a more major comic thing, me and her do it together and make it sort of a little mini vacation. So, so yeah, that's how I manage it. She's very supportive. She's not super interested in comics, but I have little tricks to keep her as interested as I possibly can, to maximize that interest from her, because it benefits me as well. I bought her a pre-code horror coloring book. So she, you know, sometimes at night when we're hanging out watching TV, she'll break out one of her coloring books, and just like, you know, they're high end. They have really sophisticated coloring books these days. I had no idea. So when I saw that she had these, I was like, hell yeah, let me see if I can find a comic related one to keep her interested. And I found a pre-code horror one. It's awesome. Actually, I want to color some of it.
So wait a minute, they're harder now? Jeez, no way.
Yeah, I mean, she's, you know, she's on the couch coloring, and I'm on the computer looking at an auction or something. We're watching, you know, just your regular night hanging out or whatever. And I look over, you know, I thought she's just doodling or whatever. And it's this coloring book it's super intricate. And it sort of blew me away. I didn't know they had comic books for adults. And
well, they call them adult coloring books, which always tripped me out, because it's a relatively new thing. And you know, last year or two, I was like, adult coloring books? That sounds dirty. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, right,
looking for adult coloring books?
I only have one pink crayon. I can't do this.
Well, she's got a whole set of colored pencils and markers, and she takes it seriously, and she's, you know, pretty artistic. So yeah, I didn't know they were this intricate. So I bought her one of those. I'm trying to get her to do some stuff on the channel where we can do like like a girlfriend comic quiz and have her, try to involve her in the YouTube some manner. The Baltimore Comic-Con, I promised to buy her some stuff, and we went out to expensive dinner. So I try to keep her involved, and she's very supportive. But that's how I manage my time, especially in a relationship. Sometimes I can see how it could cause some stress because I think all of us are very obsessive about the hobby.
Yeah.
Collecting is a major problem. It's an addiction for me, so.
Oh, also one last thing is, I know a major point of contention in the past for me, and I'm sure it is for other people, is the amount of space the stuff we collect takes up.
Oh yeah.
I have eliminated that because I sold off thousands of books, and now books I'm buying now are here and there, and they're expensive, and I hardly take up any space. So that is not a problem on my end anymore. But
that is my plan. That is my plan, man. I totally agree with that.
Well, it's hard when you got statues. How are you going to manage that? I mean, they can only be displayed.
I have to get. No, I've already come up with a plan. My plan is to sell. I need to get it down to 10, maybe just 10. And there's a lot more in here that maybe you haven't seen, but there's a lot of comic books I have too, and hardcovers, and some of it. I have a storage area, so it's all in there too. So.
Wow.
It all needs to go, but to what he was just saying about YouTube videos and meeting, because it's like kind of cathartic or whatever, it's like you. I don't have a lot of people next door to collect comic books, or even people at work that even know anything about comics or statues or anything like that. So the YouTube community is pretty important for that. It fills that gap, and it kind of, you meet friends on there, you meet people you like, you get to see their stuff, and it's very therapeutic in its own way. So. That part has been pretty important to me because my wife is tired of talking about it with me. So, but not to put her down, because me and her do go to cons, and we've done that. That's our thing together. It's just we have to wait for the little one to get a little older. But me and her, we've been doing that since we've been together. We've been going to cons. We like different things, but we both like either sci-fi or horror. Or she likes Harry Potter a lot. So we both have our thing, but she needs a break.
Yeah,
from me.
That's pretty cool. I know that when I met my wife, and even when we got married, I didn't collect comics at all. So I didn't really collect anything. I had some collections from when I was a kid that I still packed around with me, but I wasn't an active collector in any way. So, I looked at her just last week and I was like, what did I used to talk about? Like, this is, like, I can't imagine you would have found me this interesting if we had first met. Like, if the first day we met at work. I was like, if it was the first day I walked into your office, would you have been like, hey, this guy's talking about Wolverine pretty hot and heavy. I dig it. Yeah, I dig it. No, it's like, I don't think so. So, yeah, like, thank goodness I got into it now and not then, or I probably would have never been able to get her. So, but she does pretty good with it, I have to say. She likes, she's into business and things. So she likes it when I flip books, and she likes how mathematically I approach buying and selling comics. And as long as I can call DS real quick and he talks me off a ledge for overpaying for rags, then it works out pretty good. She's pleased with that.
Yeah, I think I probably saved you from some heat coming from her by talking you out of a couple of those.
Oh, now I always include her in the final decision. So she's the final pass. So your pass comes at first. I have to like it, which is almost instantaneous. And then I got to make sure that you don't think I'm an idiot. That's helpful, or anyone really with some comic knowledge, but you're my go-to. And then after you and I generally disagree, then she's the tiebreaker, and she usually agrees with you. And all she has to say is, but is it really worth that much? Dang it, no, it's not. But I want it. Isn't that worth something? So, kind of ends up like that.
Yeah, I've conditioned her. I slowly moved the price up on what I was buying. So now I'm like, man, I want to buy this, but it's $800. She's like, oh, that's it? Just $800? She's like, you should definitely get it.
Oh.
So I'm like, no, I'm not blowing that much on it. So it's kind of flipped now. I'm the one that's kind of holding back, and she's like, go ahead, you just spent whatever, get another one. Using the old slow play approach. Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it.
It's like boiling a frog, right, over time. Slowly raising the heat. Oh man. Well, what about you, Roger? how do you manage all your time and energy in the comic hobby and then or collecting hobby and then also the YouTube stuff?
Well, generally, I'm not a high energy guy, except at work and other situations. But I get very obviously excited when I go through my comics and I find something that I haven't read in a while and that I like. Or I think of a video that I want to make. It gets me really like pumped up. So as far as energy, that's where I get it. Just when that kind of rush that I get from discovering something that I had either forgotten or had previously or had never known. When you get to my age, you forget things. I'm sure that I knew things that I've forgotten many times, and then it's some kind of epiphany. But to me, who knows? What I show is the stuff that I like, and hopefully somebody else does too, is what I'm figuring. I know like the go-to geeks do, but we're in the same age bracket, so I don't know if that counts. But as far as my wife, she tolerates my my collection, like you had proffered previously. She doesn't like the space that it takes up because I've got about 9,000 comics, which is about 25 long boxes and a couple filing cabinets, et cetera, et cetera. And so we share this office where this video is taking place now. So I only have half the office to do my stuff, and then she has the back half, which you don't see. So she tolerates it, but yeah, she's not crazy about it. She likes it that I have a hobby and that I find joy in it. But she thinks it's. I think Daniel Probe 86 commented that his wife told him today. Well, let's see. Let me read this.
Yeah.
She brought up selling off my unimportant comics today, and she totally caught him off guard. She's done those things like, "Hey, are you selling comics this week?" And I'm like, "Well, I do actually have some that I'm selling. I'm actually going to do a YouTube video about selling the Under the Crawl Space collection, the rest of it."
Oh yeah.
Because I have to get rid of some stuff because I really the office, my half of the office is quickly becoming a hoarding situation. So I have to really be more careful about what I'm collecting now. But generally speaking, the problems are, like DS was saying, space, because now he doesn't have it because he's downsized and upgraded his collection to and value, but only to the less books. And I'm sort of doing it the other way. I'm getting a lot of cheap books, and that's kind of overtaking my office here. So I'm going to kind of slow down a little bit on the cheap books. Or any books, actually, except for my Ghostwriter Marvel Spotlight that I want to finish. I'm kind of focusing everything I'm selling from my garage sales and Craigslist things that I'm getting, video games and collectibles. I'm kind of doing a fund to get those gaps filled.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it becomes obsessive the other way. At least it has for me. When I had, I don't know, I had several thousand. I don't think I had 7,000, but I probably had at least, it's probably 4,000, something like that. I don't know. I had quite a few books. But in the last few years, I've really downsized. I'm down to 6 boxes, and they're not all full. And I have 1 box where I've consolidated stuff that I'm looking to move. So I find myself coming down through my collection and going through and seeing, what can I sell? What can I get rid of? What can I sell? It's sort of had the complete, it's done a 180 for me, where I was just picking up stuff left and right in previous years. Now I'm streamlining it as much as I possibly can. And what I do is I squeeze every dollar out of things that I'm not as interested in anymore, or things I want to move. And I take that money and I'll put it towards, I'll sell 5 or 6 or 20 books, and I'll put all of that towards one big book. So I'm replacing like a 20-to-1 at this point. So I'm running out of stuff to sell, but I'm down to like five boxes of my own collection. So it's a pretty small collection at this point, but I absolutely love it.
When you say boxes, are you talking about long boxes or short boxes, or
well, they're short boxes, but they're short slab boxes. They're slab size. So I think they're a little longer than a typical short box, but not by much. But basically short boxes, but they're a little taller. And I've got 6 of those. And I've got slabs, and I've got 7 because I've got one that's full of raws, and I've got a whole stack of raw books here I need to do something with too. So, yeah, I don't know how many comics I have now, but it's in the hundreds and not the thousands, that's for sure. But yeah, so I take up virtually no space. I bought one of those racks that you put together. I bought it at like Home Depot or something, and you put it together, and it's like a rock solid steel construction, and it's got the wood shelving. And I put that together, and I just put all the comics on that, and that's up against the wall. So yeah, it's out of the way. It doesn't take up any space, and I love it. It's so easy to manage. It's so stress free. It's just, you really don't know unless you've had tons of comics and then downsized back down to a manageable amount how stress relieving it is, and just how manageable. And it really makes me have a clear head about collecting and much more able to focus on where to go with my collecting. So anyway, that's just me, but.
No, that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Same thing. Just like downsizing it, trying to, just get rid of so much. Just so much things that I never see. I never visually see them. I'm just not sure if I'm really getting any pleasure from it. If it's like hidden somewhere, or if it's in a storage unit. I mean, it's not really doing me any favors. So, most of the things that are worth money are in the statue room. They're tucked away like in a closet or in boxes. Whether they're graded books or not. Or they're on the wall, right? But
Yeah.
I think I could probably get rid of 75% of it and still be just fine. And it's just something I need to make time for, is reducing it and focusing. That's always been my problem, is focus.
Yeah, I noticed what I used to do a lot. There was multiple aspects of this hobby that were very enjoyable, and one was the buying, the acquiring, the hunting, the finding stuff. That's a super enjoyable part of the hobby, and most people are hardcore into that. I'm not as much anymore, but I really love that. But I've found there's other aspects of this hobby that are real enjoyable too, and that is getting value out of some of your books, selling stuff, and finding out that other people really dig it and will give you money for it. And then so selling it on different venues, Instagram, YouTube, eBay, whatever, and getting money, and then sort of streamlining that way. So the buying and the selling are both very enjoyable aspects of the hobby to me. So.
I actually went to a convention and sold one time. At a small convention. It was mainly just like it was a lot of knickknacks and poppy stuff, and it wasn't really comic focused. There was like probably 2 comic vendors. I was one of them, and I paid like the $200 fee or whatever it was. I think I made like $700 there. It was a 2-day process, and it was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. Just because it wasn't comic focused, so there wasn't a whole lot of conversation. There wasn't a whole lot of interest, but the people that did show up for that, they really took. I gave some good deals. They're like $1 comic books, 50-cent comic books. Some of them were more, and I put like runs together and sold them as runs. But I did pretty good. It was just such a long. It was very hard to do, physically hard to do. Just if you guys have ever been to a con and sold as a vendor,
I have. Yeah, I used to sell a lot in the late '80s, early '90s, and you're right. Lugging all that stuff around, and then being there, you can't even go to the bathroom if you're alone. I don't know if you had somebody else, but
my wife was there for a little bit.
Oh, you did? Yeah. That was, you're right. That was painful. And then you make, after the fees and the gas and your time, and you're exhausted, and you got to. It's hardly worth it. It was worth it here and there, but for the little cons, I rarely found it that it was worth it. Maybe made $100 or something. Not really worth it.
I think I did okay. It was just, I'm just not sure. I mean, I think I would have been more happy just working, at my job.
Yeah, that's my point. You probably make more in a real job than working that con. But it is more enjoyable because you're around things that and hobbyists that it's something that you do, so, and that other people also have, aficionados. So in that part I liked, but the labor involved and the profit or whatever, the outcome generally monetarily was not worth it. Let's put it that way.
It was kind of cool though. A couple times I sold to some children, and these 2 little dudes came up to me. They were probably like 10 years old, and they wanted to buy these little Batman black and white statues. I sold like 2 of them, and they were like super excited about it. I had no idea that anybody under the age of 30 would even know what this was, or it was very strange. It was like, oh man, they were so excited, and I gave them a pretty good deal. It was just nice to see how into that they were. I had no idea they were like, like I said, they were like preteens or whatever, 13 years old maybe tops. but their parents gave them a wad of cash. So
Yeah, that always works when you got somebody who had birthday money and they'll pay you, whatever price you had on the comic. That's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
But that was few and far between back in the late '80s and early '90s. All right, what's next?
All right, Bub, you still with us?
Did Bub fall off?
I think we lost Bub maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about some high-tech wireless connection he had. If he strayed too far, he might lose it. So anyway, I don't know. I
strayed too far. I tell you, Bub, he's always on that precipice, and I guess he just went off the end.
Yeah, I told him I'm low tech. I got the headphone jack hardwired in so that the only thing that happens is it falls out of my ear. I put it back in, but I'm not having any technical issues here. Are we still live?
Yeah, I still have the live. Yeah, I still have the live thing there. I think another thing he wanted us to talk about was what was that? The other thing he wanted us to talk about. Hold on, I'm pulling up my email. Like the burdens, I guess, of your collection.
I think one of the topics was like if you put a limit on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That was it. Not the burdens. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So like limits, time limits. I mean, I'm obsessive about this hobby. It's my passion. Aside from time that I spend with the wife or at work, I spend almost all my free time thinking about comics, and a lot of it doing comic related stuff. So, I mean, I occupy most of my free time with that hobby for the most part. But, if I'm not involved in what I consider my free time, then I do what I have to do. I try to be responsible. But, my free time that's what I devote it to for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. The money limits is the other thing. And for that, I put most of what I make out of my paycheck together with hers, and that's what we live off of. And then I usually take a little bit off the top for myself and squirrel it away. And what I try to do is use that to invest in some books and flip some and build sort of more with that money that I have to work with. Because I don't have a really great job. I mean, you might see some of the books I pick up that I show on my channel, or I've got some heavy hitter books. I've got some pretty big books, but they're way out of my price range if you consider what I do for a living, how much money I have to work with. But I've worked up, and I try to be creative with the money that I have. But I have very little to work with, and I try to be creative with how I use that money to make more. And that's part of the reason I sell a lot of books, because I'll buy books, and I have a backlog of books, and as the time goes by, I'll sell off ones that have gone up in price, and I'll try to find deals and flip stuff. So yeah, all the money it doesn't come out of anything that I consider to be mine and hers together. It's only my money. I don't want to cause any problems by using money that's, sort of like family money or relationship money. So I keep that totally separate.
Yeah. Smart. I think for me,
very smart.
Yeah, smarter. Yeah, I'm trying to stay with her. I'm not trying to get kicked out.
Yeah, if you want to keep that financial issues, we'll get into we'll drive a wedge in any relationship.
Yeah, and I've moved on to pretty much golden age stuff is what I'm totally focused on now. And you can't pick up what I'm looking for a couple $100 is the cheapest, and they go into the thousands. So I've got to have monetary limits as far as letting that amount I spend not infringe on what is ours. It's got to be totally separate. So that could cause huge problems. I mean, money causes problems in tons of relationships, and I'm very disciplined and dedicated to making sure that doesn't happen with me. So
let's see what Stir Fry has to say, because I know he has like adult kids and now a baby. So I'm interested to see what he says here.
That's right. Well, before the baby, like we had two older kids, and they're both in college right now, and then the third one came along, and it's like, wow, okay, so we made a decision. And she was going to stay home and watch the new one. And so that changed everything for all these years, several years of me buying these ridiculous statues and comics that I've always wanted, trying to catch up on, because my focus has been so, and I really envy DS and his focus there about how, he's got a mission and he's getting rid of some things. And I still need to try to find that and work work towards something like that. But for a while there, we had 2 incomes and everything was great. And I'm just throwing money, and I could just do as long as the bills were paid. I was just throwing money at whatever, buying these. Because these statues are very expensive, and it's kind of hard to get, and it was just I don't know. I made plenty of bad decisions. Now we're focused on 1 income, 1 child, and we still got the other 2 kids. I got several car payments. I could go on and on and on. Blah, blah, blah. No one wants to hear that. But what I've done is I've just focused on. In fact, I might buy like 1 decent book a paycheck, maybe. And I'm not talking about a big giant book. I'm not talking about like maybe $100 book, maybe. Maybe. And that's after every bill is paid. And she's now in charge of the bills. That's how we did it. I'm like, okay, you're in charge of all the bills. You pay everything, whatever's left over. Let me know if it's gonna be a problem. Can I buy this book? Or I'll just buy it, and then I'll just wait and see if she yells at me or not. But I've definitely set a limit recently, fairly recently. And yeah, when it comes to the paychecks and your income, whatever, it's gone down quite a bit. So I might get an omnibus here and there, and then I might get like 1 good book that I've been wanting for a while. But I don't try to get like the highest grade. I just try to fill that gap of this is the book that's on my list of things I've always wanted. It could be like a very low grade. I don't care as long as I have it, and that limit kind of helps me for now. So
yeah, I think a lot of people have. Most of us are not rich, and we're not millionaires. No. Some people are picking up, like, there's a YouTube channel, Lee Kirby Ditko Comics.
I've seen him.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into the background of who the guy is or anything, but I mean, if you watch that channel, it's almost discouraging. Like, what's the point of collecting if I can't? I mean, this like top-notch stuff, and
but you know what? Real quick, let me cut in here real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't like watching people like that. And I'll tell you what, I like watching people that show what they really like, what they're really passionate about. It's not this isn't like show. I enjoy these smaller channels. These guys go, okay, today I got like let me just pull one out of my. Okay, I just bought Hulk 2099, for $1, and I'm super happy about it. I like watching channels like that do that,
Yeah, and what I like to pick up some bigger stuff. I have a little different taste than I used to, but I just want to let people out there know that are watching that I just have a regular job. I have a regular paycheck. I'm not even I have hardly any money to work with. I mean, we're paycheck to paycheck, week to week, month to month on bills, and we have a little bit to have an enjoyable, pleasant life. But I cut out all the small stuff so that I just focus on, I have a couple big books I'm looking at. I just cut out all the small stuff, and I'm able to pick up stuff that I want. So, you don't need a lot of money to pick up books that you want, even if those books are pricey. But, just go after what you want. And if you like, bigger books, I would say if you cut out some small books, you can get the bigger books. That's what I did, and I found that worked really well for me, and that's what I prefer at this point. I hardly ever go to a comic store, and I don't pick up dollar books. I don't buy new ones, and I just focus on the bigger stuff. But it's as big as you want to make it, because I see some of these channels out here, and some of these collectors have huge books, and I'm just thinking it sort of is discouraging. So that's why I agree with you, Stir Fry. I like the community that's sort of like regular Joes collecting.
I like to see people that are passionate about it. Like, no matter what the book is, if it's, I look at BUB'S channel, and I made a comment somewhere. I think I made a video because I bought that Hulk 180, because I was watching his channel. I was like, man, why didn't I buy that back then? I regret, not jumping on some of these books when I had the chance, and I could have done it, but I didn't. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back and get that Hulk 180, and that's it. That's gonna be my and he was kind of in, because he's always showing those 2 books, so I was extremely jealous.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah, that's his backdrop.
Yeah, so I'm
right.
like, well, I'm gonna settle. I'm just gonna settle. I'm gonna make myself happy with this Hulk 180. So I did it. I sold some books, and I actually sold some omnibuses, and it went right from PayPal, and I picked it up. I was pretty happy with it. So yeah, I like to see these guys that have, that like. He's, Bub is a good example. He's got those 2 books there, and he's passionate about Wolverine. So that's really cool to see this guy going through his Wolverine collection and filling all these gaps and talking about how he's, completed this run, and it's really cool. I don't need to see your Amazing Spider-Man #1. That's cool, but I don't have to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing I got caught up in. A lot of times, I think it's tough, especially with YouTube. People, you have to really figure out what you want for yourself, because sometimes there's a hot book, or everybody's picking up Fantastic Four number 48 or ASM 1, you know, Silver Surfer 1, or just any number of modern like Art Germ variants or whatever. And you get caught up in that rush where everybody else likes it, so that's why I like it. And you got to really sit back and think, do I really like this? Is this really where I want to put my money and put into my collection? Or do I just like it because everybody else likes it and it's sort of hot right now and I'm getting pulled along? And when I sat back from that, and, you know, I bought that Hulk 181 earlier this year, and I put out a good amount of money for it, and it was a really rock solid, high grade book. But I got to the point where Baltimore Comic Con was coming up, and I was looking, and I'm like, you know, yeah, I like this book, but I haven't really looked at it too many times in the last couple months, so I can probably get a good amount of money out of this to get something I really love. And that's what I did. I actually brought the Hulk 181 to the con, and I shopped it around to a couple dealers, and I ended up selling it for cash for it, and I bought some other stuff that I liked. So, you know, I like the Hulk 181. For me, I mean, that's a key book, obviously, but for me, the idea of owning it was more enjoyable than the actual owning it. And it was just the idea that I had it, and I could tell people I had it, and it was kind of cool to have it, but I wasn't really digging it the way that I thought I would when I got it. It faded very quickly for me as being an interesting part of my collection, albeit a super key and expensive book. But, you know, so you got to really just figure out what do you like for yourself, or versus what you like just because everybody else likes it. And it's sort of tough to differentiate, especially with the YouTube community and all the stuff floating around about comics.
The same thing happens in the statue. Like you know, you get sucked into it. You get sucked into the community. You get sucked in the community and the collecting aspect of it, and it happens really quick. And it happens with whether you have a channel or not, or if you're just watching it. I think and that probably happens with any collectible or anything, or it could happen with shoes, or I hear it happens with diapers. my wife was telling me all about this, like, you know, these reusable washable diapers with prints on them, and people have there's a community, there's a Facebook community devoted to that. I was like, really? Wow. So there's a big collectible market for just about anything, and you get obsessed with it and you start buying things, and sometimes it might not even be personal, it might just be like a status thing alone. So I'm not real sure. But
yeah, there's a lot of one-upmanship
right
around, you know, and I agree with you. I like the channels like you do, that the people, you know, when they find something, the passion, you know, and the excitement comes out in their videos, and that's something that really draws me to their channel, and that is like most of us that I have seen in the community. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen a Lee Ditko Kirby video, so I can't tell you. I know he's got a big, huge, like, it looks like almost like a laboratory setup there.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
For sure, it's great. But it's impressive. I remember seeing like a video he put up like years ago, I think, and it was just like amazing. But yeah. Are
you back, Bub?
Not really. Kind of.
I'll tell you though about that Lee Kirby Ditko channel. He has super huge books and an awesome collection, and he doesn't do videos very often. But when he shows his recent pickups, I mean, he likes high grade, high quality books, but he'll pick up stuff that he likes. I mean, he's got the money and the connections to work with, so he can get huge books, but he's still picking up stuff that he's passionate about and he likes. I mean, there's stuff he picks up and shows in his haul or pickup videos that, you know, they're not expensive books. They're $50 to $100, and some of the ones he picks up are $50,000 books. So, but if I had unlimited amount of money, I'd be picking up books like that too. There's a lot of books that I genuinely love that, you know, I'd pick up a Suspense 3 in a mid-grade if I could find one of, you know, 150 grand. Yeah, I love that book. I would probably skip an Action 1. I wouldn't want that, but there is a lot of one-upsmanship and a lot of competition. And, you know, I watch it all. I try to stay informed, and I like the community. But I've just decided I'm going to collect what I like, and I don't really care if other people like it, because what I was doing before was collecting what I liked. But if I even liked it a little and everybody else liked it a lot, then I felt like I liked it more. And I really didn't. After I got those books, I'm like, yeah, I really don't like this as much as everybody else does.
Yeah, I like the idea that there are some people out there, though, that when I see their books, I didn't like them before, but now I like them. And then when I get them, I still like them, or I like them even more. So that it's happened for me that way too. As much as it's happened the other way, where I'm disappointed with a book after I bought it because I thought it was cool when somebody else showed it, and then I got it. I'm like, oh, this sucks. This isn't really my type of collecting. But then in other cases, I found that it's definitely, something I love. Like, oh, cool. I didn't even know this existed, and now I love it. So that happens too.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, guys. Well, I was able to hear everything you guys were saying. So that worked out. Of course, some kind of tech difficulties. I don't know what happened, but YouTube just decided not to show my channel anymore. I guess they got all the letters that people have been sending in.
All those things.
I've got a couple of hard rules. For me, I try not to spend before I make it. So I've kind of switched that way. Of course, I break it for real big books. But for regular books, like if I don't have any money left, like for comics, and I still have some books that I'm waiting to flip or I haven't sold yet, then I try and make sure that I sell those books first before I buy or even go to a place where there could be comics. Like that's dangerous too. It's like I don't have any money, but I'm going to go to the flea market and the peddler's mall anyway, and I'm sure I won't see anything I must have, and then I walk out with a stack of books. So I try to do that. And I'm also trying to stick with my 3,000 and under rule. So when I hit 3,000 comics, it's going to be a massive purge to get back down.
Yeah, I love this. I love you guys have rules and focuses, and you put ceilings on it. I got to listen to you guys more often. This is great.
Well, we just make it up to sound good on Monday night for whoever's the guest, and tonight it's you. So yeah. we're just trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And then when we do the chat afterwards, we'll be like, can you believe they actually believed we had all those limits? We really fooled them.
The limits are great until you see something you absolutely can't live without. Then they go out the window.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. All the time.
But that's okay. Because if you're following the rules, it's kind of.
Yeah, I think we lost him again.
Well, what's cool about that, Metarog, is
up until that point,
Youngblood number 1, so it's no problem. I buy it every time I see it.
Youngblood number 1, right? Yep. I saw.
There's something like that too.
At the dollar bin.
Heck yeah.
Bub, you are breaking up pretty bad, and you're going in and out. So I don't know what's up, but
sorry, not much I can do. All right. Well, I guess we can probably shut it down then, or I know nobody wants to listen to the rest of you guys, and if they can't hear me, there's no point.
We didn't even know you were gone. Just messing with you, Bub. Just messing with you.
Oh, you're good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. You're coming through.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
All right, guys. Well, I think we've wasted everybody's time enough tonight. I can't check the chat, but I'm sure they agree. And well, sorry for the technical problems. It seems to be something new every week. It's just, I don't think YouTube's awesomeness has risen to our level just yet. But when they catch up, we'll be here.
All right. Okay.
So I want to thank Centauri Stir Fry. It's funny because I used to call you Century Stir Fry until I really started listening to your opening.
Well, he's the stir fry part. His wife is the Centauri part.
Yeah.
Right. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being on the schedule and sticking with it. I know we're a couple of weeks out scheduling it, so I appreciate you remembering to join us.
No problem. This is fun. I liked it, actually. It was great.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. We have a good time.
Yeah, it was great to have.
And of course,
talk to you, Jake.
Yeah, you too. It was great to see you.
After seeing your videos, it's always like another experience when you're on live with somebody.
It's a lot different for sure.
It is, isn't it?
Nice.
Because it's obviously in your videos. I mean, I comment and all that, but we can't have that instant kind of communication that we can have here. So thank you very much for coming on. I'm a big fan, obviously. So I was very thrilled when I saw your email there.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so glad you like that drawing. It really made makes my day.
Oh,
so I love seeing it.
Like it is a huge understatement, Jake. I mean, I'm just beside myself for that.
Very cool.
So that'll probably be next on my wall up there on my display, Ghost Rider display. So that'll be up there probably Christmas time or so.
Awesome. And I feel like, before I leave, I feel like got a little inspiration from you guys as far as like your limits and what you've done and how your focus is on your collection. And that's something that I could always use, that little bird in the air, kind of talking. Yeah. It's something that I require as a maniac. So,
hey, we have Jake. We have interventions here every week.
Yeah, after the show.
DS is the best of us. As far as reining us in, keeping us in order. Bub is the raving guy is like he goes off the chain, and me, somewhere in the middle.
all manners of undiscipline are displayed here, so we do pretty good.
Well, it's inspiring. That's what it is. It's inspiring. There you go.
Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks, Roger, for being here as always, or just as much as usual, at least. And and thank you, DS, for showing Batman's brain and other such parts. We've enjoyed that, of course.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks. I enjoyed it. This is awesome.
All right, guys. Well, we'll shut it down for tonight, and then we'll catch you next week on the No Faces Comic Chat. Thank you, everybody in the chat, and thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week. Good night.
Good night, everyone.